there are so many interesting snippets in your book that it's almost 300 pages long, so we possibly cannot discuss everything. But one thing that I found very interesting was where you described how Ayodhya was built as a city to protect from its enemies. It had a different kind of a defense. It had a different kind of a architecture and infrastructure established there. So for our viewers, could you elaborate a little more on that?
So I come from, so I'll give you a background. I come from a defense family, and I'm very interested in art and architecture. So I would speak to my father about it, and we spoke a little bit, and of course other army officers. The whole of Ayodhya. So the word Ayodhya means, it is a Sanskrit word that is a sandhi. It is a sandhi between na yudhya. So whenever you have na and yudhya, it becomes ayudhya. So ayudhya. So for example, na mit means becomes amit. Okay. Na jar means becomes ajar. So ajar means that doesn't grow old. Amit means that you cannot destroy, jo mitta nahi hai. Or or that somebody who doesn't die is amit. And so ayudhya then is that which you cannot fight. Right now, why is a city built that you cannot fight this city? So think about it. What would be the strategy? And please understand that we don't live in a woke la la land. Okay, so we live in we live, and in the ancient past there were all types of threats and dangers that were there. So we hear of battles between the Rakshas and the Devs, and we hear of so many battles. And this is a city established by Kshatriyas. Okay, and so the Kshatriyas are the they're responsible. So every varn, and I don't mean jati. So please understand the difference between varn and jati. So every varn has a role to play. The Brahmins, they give you the brains. The Kshatriyas, they are the protectors. The Vaishya, they are the traders, and the Shudra, they are the service class people, right? So this is built by Kshatriyas. So Kshatriyas, if they have to do their duty well, they will make a city that will protect from external problems. Right. And then it was designed, it was designed in such a manner that it gave them water. It also, kept enemies away. So in the design, what they did was they built, and by the way, it's made on the basis of Vastu Shastra. So it follows the tenets of Vastu Shastra to the T. And the idea behind developing Ayodhya exactly as its name is also written in my book. Okay, so and Valmiki says why it is Ayodhya, and it says true to its name, it is Ayodhya, and Dashrath ruled from there. So what is true to its name? It's true to its name means that wo us function ko karta tha. So example, I'll give you an example. So the Ayodhya as a city, in earlier times everybody used to live in a durg. So it was like a durg. It was protected, right? It was a fortified city. Yeah. In the fortified city, people live. Now, how do you save a fort from attacks? So what you do is you build a parikha. In Sanskrit, we call it a parikha. Parikha is like a moat, okay? And you may fill it with water, you may not fill it with water, depending on what is it that you prefer, because these options are given to people. And in the moat, if you read Arthashastra further, in the moat, he subscribes that you should keep alligators. But in earlier times, in the Ramayana, it says that they imported hippopotamuses in Ayodhya. And I found that very amusing. Why would they import hippopotamuses? Yeah. So hippopotamus is a very territorial animal, by the way. Right. And in ancient times, hippopotamuses were very valued. So if you take a look at the Egyptian civilization, and these are things that are not everything can go in the book because it is about Ayodhya. So, I don't want to write about Egyptian civilization. I just want to write about Ayodhya. But I have lived in Egypt. I have, I've traveled across the world. I've traveled and I've gone and made it a point to see specific ancient cultures and ancient ruins. So that I used to be very fascinated by all of that. So so what they did was so a hippopotamus is a very, very unique being. One, it's very territorial. Second, a hippopotamus is called Daryai Ghoda because it spends its lifetime in the water. And in the water, on ground, it's a very slow animal, but in water, it's very speedy, it's very fast. Okay, so I thought, did they have it as pets? Did they not have it as pets? So it didn't make sense to have it in the city because then they'll be killing everything, right? So it was obvious that they were in the they were outskirts in the river. Okay, and around every ancient city they had a moat. So where did they draw the pani from? Where did they draw the water from? So they drew it from Saryu. So though it's written in the book that all the waters came from Saryu, and in ancient times any city used to have water coming across, and the water was pulled from rivers. So the moat were filled with waters of the river. After a while, the water gets stagnant as well. It doesn't, it loses its nutritional impact. So so what a hippopotamus does, that it eats on the ground, then it poops in the water, and it makes the water nutrient rich. And this is the same water that then was taken into Ayodhya, and farming was done based on it. So a hippopotamus was not only useful as protection because he would kill anything that would come in the water, it was also used for environmental reasons. And then I have given the excavation of a hippopotamus around 15,000 years ago from the Narmada River Basin. And you have to understand Narmada River Basin, where they found him, where they found that the excavation was Mahakosal. So Mahakosal, so there is Kosal, which is the kingdom, and beneath it is Mahakosal. And from Mahakosal is where Kaushalya ji is from. So the word Kaushalya means to whom Kosal belongs. So that's what the word Kaushalya means. So she's the first wife of Dashrath ji, and she's the queen there. So if hippopotamuses are found in the Narmada River Basin, that means they could have easily been in the Saryu River Basin. And it's because, if you see the rivers, so Saryu is here, and then just a little below is Narmada. I mean, if you read, if you look at the geographical maps, and ancient excavations have actually come out near Ghaggar River. Yeah. So a lot of ancient excavations have shown that the whole belt was absolutely, they had lots of flourishing cities out there, excavation sites. And Ghaggar, so there's river Ghaggar, by the way, but Ghaggar, Ghaggar or Ghaggar, whatever you want to call it, where I come from, they still call it Saryu. So that whole river Ghaggar is also called Saryu. So I come from, my paternal, village is near, so we call it Saryu. We don't, Ghaggar was a name that was given later. So for us, it's still Saryu. So, if you take a look at the length of the Ghaggar River, it's a massive river. Right. So these are, so I'm just telling you some of the reasons. Sure. So it was a very strategically built city or nagar or district wherein they protected the waters, and it has a reason why they did that. So any invading army, and in the invading armies there are there are types of there are four parts of an army, so 4 angs. So there is the foot soldiers, which is the infantry, then there is the ghursavar, which is the cavalry, then there is the elephants, and then there is the rath, which is the chariots. So these 3 cannot cross the moats. Right. So you see, this is the reason a moat is constructed, because they can't cross it. And if anybody falls, then they die. And then there is a huge plethora of reasons. And, then there's fortification after this. There is a jungle after this. It has been fortified like that. Then there is this very wonderful weapon called Shatagni. It's been fortified, with Shatagni. So it's a killer of hundreds if it shoots. So, it's through and through a city that you cannot find, because its military strategy is so good, and it's imbibed in its construction itself.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.